Welcome to today's meeting of the United Policyholders WRAP Working Group, which stands for Wildfire Risk Reduction and Asset Protection. We do what we can to jazz up the rather dry subject matter that we're always dealing with. So yeah, here we are having our WRAP group. And I want to welcome everybody who has taken the time to be with us. I want to thank all of you for your continued engagement. I have to say this project is one of the more rewarding things that my team is working on right now, because we are making progress. And a lot of our projects are we rarely see kind of tangible outcomes, but we're really moving forward here in a lot of good ways and helping each other out in a lot of good ways. So I think one of the benefits of having this statewide group of diverse stakeholders is that we're all getting ideas from each other, which is just really, really valuable. So thank you all for your engagement. Now, do we have, let's see, do we have Chris and?
I'm here.
Okay, great. So Chris and Samantha are going to be presenting today the results of the excellent work that they are doing to take all of the information that we have been gathering from all of the members of this working group and our colleagues across the state and even across the country, and pulling it all together into a resource center, an online WRAP resource center. So you've all heard me talk about this. So what we're going to hear today from Chris and Samantha is about their progress, where they are. And then after they walk us through what they have got going so far, and it's very much a work in progress, I'm going to walk everyone through a survey that we're going to be sending to you that Joel Loucher and Emily Rogan and I put together to get some more information that's going to go into the resource center. So I think I've already done a little introductions of Chris and Samantha. We feel very, very fortunate to have Chris working with us because he, very much like David Hsu, who presented at a previous meeting, has a tremendous amount of expertise as a former active firefighter, and also really has a feel for the challenges that different regions have in having disparate resources. Some counties have great resources, some don't. And I think Chris has a real heart to try to not just support this project and wildfire risk reduction by individuals and in communities, but also to strengthen our firefighting capacities as a state. So that's Chris. And then Samantha, also a very impressive background in the field as a firefighter, smoke jumper, and also somehow, in addition to the bravery and the skills there, has website design chops. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris and Samantha to share the fruits of their labor to date. Thank you.
Yeah, right on. Thank you, Amy. You can hear me okay? Everything
Yeah.
hooked up right? Okay, good. Well, thanks for the introduction. Just to add a little bit to that, I for people who care about all that, I spent about almost 40 years with the U.S. Forest Service all around the country, from Idaho to Wyoming to Vermont, and about 10 years in California. I retired as a deputy director for fire and aviation. And as Amy was alluding to, the fire system in California, I kind of got to know it very, very well. That the system of how firefighters are dispatched, how prevention is undertaken both by the Forest Service and our state partners, CAL FIRE and whatnot. Where the trouble spots were, when they were trouble spots, for, almost anywhere in California in the last 10 years. If there was a big fire, I was probably there trying to sort out how to get more planes, helicopters, firefighters, et cetera, stuff like that. In retirement, I've remained pretty engaged in trying to help this system improve outcomes for people in the West, and especially California. That's really important to me, and something I want to continue doing. I'm kind of babbling until Samantha, are you ready to pull up the PowerPoint? Are you there, Samantha? I know she's on. There she is. She's sharing her screen. Perfect. So while we get into this, and she goes to that first slide, I started partnering with Samantha Orient a few years ago. We were working on a lot of risk management problems for the Forest Service with the Caldor fire, the Dixie fire, and some of the risks the firefighters take. So yeah, we met Amy. I met Amy, and we started talking quite a bit, and I got to know her staff. And she has to take on this project of pulling together something more for the RAP Resource Center. And as impressed as she was by my knowledge of the fire system, probably less impressed with my technical skills. And in one meeting, she says, well, this is great. Do you have kind of a techie friend that can help you with this? And so, having worked with Samantha and knowing how well she does at this, it was a good fit. And we hope as we go through this, you'll like what you see. So let's see. Part of how we got into this was through a grant that UP got. And the grant called for them to target initially 30 counties. So we'll go to that slide, the counties there. Oh, back, you're getting ahead of us here. Back one more. Yeah, so we didn't do all of the counties in California this go around. We'll probably get to the rest of them. We'll see how it goes in the next round of everything. But these are the 30 counties initially targeted. I won't read them all, but there are a lot of the big fire counties that, well, gosh, every county in California is really a big fire county when it comes down to it. But these are the ones we targeted. So if you're on the call today, if you're on the meeting here, and you're like, oh, my county, isn't there yet. Well, I think we'll get there, but these are the ones we started first. So our objectives as we got into this, go ahead and move on one more there. Yeah, so what Amy and her team asked us to do is kind of here. There's a little bit more to it, but this is kind of the nuts and bolts of it. We want to enhance the RAP Resource Center for those 30 counties. And really what we're focused on is listing some of the resources in that county that can help homeowners realize savings or retention of their property insurance, or how to go about improving their property, and give them a roadmap to mitigating threats to wildfire. As Amy points out frequently, part of the title of all this is asset protection. And so that's really what we're focused on. With that, what's kind of unwritten here, and Amy alluded to it as she opened the meeting, is we also want to provide some of the really good ideas that counties have that other counties can pick up on and share and steal and just good ideas, get the good ideas out there. So that's part of it too. That can be a slippery slope. We're trying to provide good ideas, provide these mitigations, provide homeowners ways to protect their assets. It can be a slippery slope toward, every good idea in the state that I don't know if we can house all that. It kind of reminds me of when I was working for the region in California. I would get good ideas that people sent in from to the regional forester. And 3 or 4 times every summer when the fires were going, you get some long letter about, have you thought about bombing the fires or something like that? You really ought to look into that. And I would take the files and I'd have to the letters, and I have to respond to them. So good ideas, maybe not every idea though. Okay, so that's what we set out to do. Next slide. Samantha. So in the way UP has been set up is that they have an advocacy portion of what they do, and look at what wildfire risk reduction and asset protection, kind of that advocacy part on the main page. And also there's a roadmap to preparedness through Insurance Help in California, and a lot of resources that UP already had before we got started. So what Samantha and I tried to do was to research each county and bring those 2 concepts together at a county level. And what we're going to end up with is an interactive map of California where you can pull up a county, and it might be your county if you're a property owner and you want to see what's going on in your county, what resources are available locally to help you. Or you may want to shop around and look at other counties and see what other good ideas are out there. So we're pulling it together at a county by county basis for those 30 counties. And let's see, let's go on. And I'll probably turn it over to Samantha here as I go when you're ready to take over, because as Samantha built this and she designed the graphics and kind of the flow of the website, there'll be an overview of the county and then these icons to kind of walk a homeowner or property owner through all of the variables, all the assets in that county that we found. So Samantha, any more on that?
One more thing on the icons. So the pages are set up as a template so that it's similar on each county. Of course, some counties have more resources or resources that are different than others, but similar style so that it's easy to go from county to county and be able to say, okay, this is an area where we could improve, or this is an area where we're doing really well. A couple of these icons will actually take you out to a larger library. So with the Insurance Help icon, that actually takes you outside to another page. The icons in the middle that are unhighlighted, those are specific to the county. And I'll go through each section and just give a little bit of an overview on what those will contain.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead, take it from there, Samantha.
Okay. All right, so I have Sonoma County, Santa Cruz, and Ventura as examples, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth. And if anyone's interested, we can jump out to the websites too. So just a brief overview, a little bit of a written paragraph at the top of the page that maybe highlights what the counties are currently doing, if they have any grants that they are working on, just so that people that are coming to that page get a good overview right away. And also can link to specific link outs for those right in that paragraph. A little bit of information, population and Firewise communities, just to give a kind of an idea of the scope of how involved we might have fire safe councils, Firewise communities in that particular county.
Samantha, thank you so much for this. And I just wanted to interrupt to ask how you would like the working group members to communicate suggested additions, changes to you. Do you want them to go directly to you and Chris, or do you want them to go through us? Whatever's your preference, because just so everybody knows that this, when I said this is a work in progress, that means we're aware that, of course, that there's information that we haven't gotten our hands on yet, but that all of you have, and we are very anxious to have you contribute to the quality of this project. So what's the answer there, Samantha? Email you or email us?
If it's if it works for everyone, it'd be great to have people email Chris and I directly, and we'll put our email addresses in the chat. We've already been working with a few counties, and that works out really well, to just have the back and forth, and as they come across different resources, to be able to supply those.
Great, thank you.
Yes, we want these to be as accurate as possible so that they are the best resource possible for folks that live in that county. And just pulling information from some of those counties, that's highlighted here on the screen. Sometimes it's easy to pull that information out, but I don't want to miss highlighting some of the really good work that those counties are doing. So if it would be great to have a contact for the counties that are able to make sure that to proofread and make sure that that information is in there.
On
right,
that
and so-
note,
Go ahead.
just real quick, Samantha and Amy, just on that note of providing input, again, Samantha and I will put our emails in the comments, and we'd like to hear back from anybody with an interest in this. We also would like, there's going to be aspects of it we'll run through Amy and her team on it, adding it, and that was kind of the slippery slope I mentioned earlier of what's really focused on resources that help property owners in an asset protection way, and good ideas. And with that, Joel put it well at a meeting a few weeks ago. Protecting assets is the goal of UP and why they brought us in to help with this. Ultimately, it's going to be a safer fire environment for everybody. And so that's ultimately the goal. So, I'm kind of teeter-tottering between, does it have to be really asset protection related? Well, not necessarily. It's got to be fire mitigation related though. So we'll have to vet that with Amy and her team as we go. But by all means, we'd love to hear from each county we covered what we may have missed or things you're very proud of. So thanks, Samantha. Keep going there.
Okay, next section down is, and this is similar for all counties, general preparedness. And so it has the Listos California Disaster Ready Guide. It has the risk map for your county, the disaster directory for your county, and then the alert system for your county. So those are all easy to click on. Will be one of the first things you see on the page. Below that, so we have city and county resources and fire department services in two different tabs. Just an example here. And those are fairly self-explanatory. It is really interesting to see the variety of the fire department services that you'll see across counties. And below that is our RAP members. And so this encompasses fire safe councils, list of FireWise communities, and generally where those are populated in the county. COPE programs, if there are COPE programs, other programs, including certs, listed all in this tab. Mitigation grants and free resources. So those are going to be your current, your chipper programs, the things that are going on in the county where people can reach out to get involved or to get help, get assistance. So we're trying to list those, and hopefully, I think this might be an area where there may be some that we can add from this group, which would be wonderful. Mitigation help for hire. I'm going to gloss over that one for now, Amy, and I'll let you get into that after the presentation.
Great, thanks.
Okay, and then finally, relevant posts. So the website has been set up so that the posts are preloaded essentially to have content from the RAP program and then also from your county. And so if there's interesting content that can be added, it can be tagged right to your county, and it's going to show up here, and it's going to have the most relevant posts, the latest posts will show up, and so you can have You can basically have as many of those as you want. It's 3 wide, but it's something that you can scan through. And so if there's, you know, example content, if you have an updated newsletter, you know, news coming out about a grant that has just been awarded, that kind of thing it would be great to reach out and have that information current here in the relevant posts.
Great. Hey, Samantha, we had a request from one of the attendees. Is it possible for you to change the view on your screen so that the slide you're focused on is full? Oh, actually, I think we're at the end of your deck. Never mind. Never mind. Keep going.
Okay, yes, that is the end of the slide.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop sharing. And I can share this too if anybody has an interest in the slideshow, I can send that file.
Thank you.
Would you, Samantha, would you pull it back up just for a second, please? Sorry to do this to you. If you'd pull it back up and go back to the fire departments tab.
Uh-huh. Better yet, I will jump right into the website.
Okay.
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 So live.
Yeah, this isn't the PowerPoint. This is a website. So one of the things I was answering a question in the chat when Samantha went through this, and I meant to pause her. One of the things we find as we go through California, and I knew this, and it just became more obvious doing this project. Every county in California is different. Okay, it's a very diverse state. One of the real diverse things in this project was how each county approaches having a fire department. Right now, we're looking at Sonoma County, and they have a centralized county fire district. They're also part of a CAL FIRE unit. So that's true for Sonoma County, and probably fairly typical, but there's a lot of variation in that. And I believe in discussing with Joel and Amy and the team, how the ISO ratings are built really are based on how the ISO team rates the fire department. So in Sonoma County, a robust fire department with a CAL FIRE presence. So go back to Ventura, please. You had Ventura up, right? Just a second ago. So Ventura County is a little different. It's a contract county, as many of you know, like Santa Barbara and Orange County and LA County and Marin County. So they've assumed the duties of CAL FIRE through a contract for that county, which is how that county chose to go about it. Again, a strong, robust fire department in Ventura County. There's other more rural parts of the state that don't have that. They have neither a strong CAL FIRE presence nor a centralized fire department. And we don't have an example. I don't think we have it up yet, but for example, Plumas County has, I think, 17 different fire departments without a central county fire department. They have no CAL FIRE presence. They have a big Forest Service presence, but the Forest Service isn't a structural fire department. So, and there's a few other counties like that. So it's quite varied throughout the state. And I bring that up as an example because almost every aspect of what we looked at, from the number of FireWise communities, fire safe councils, whether or not they had a CERT program, the strength of their co-ed programs, county government in different aspects like emergency services. It also has a whole spectrum of variation all throughout the state. Coming from a large central federal agency, I'm like, ay, that's, why isn't everybody the same? Well, everyone's not the same because California is a diverse state, and not every county wants to be the same. How that impacts insurance rates, availability of insurance, and kind of a robustness in citizens' engagement in mitigating wildfires, it's really reflected in that variation. So I went to the fire departments because it's an easy example of how varied things can be. But a lot of the variables have a wide spectrum across the state. So one of the things that this program may do is if you're in a poorly resourced or a part of the state that you'd like to see do a better job, looking around at the different counties that are robust, that are putting a great deal of effort into this, it could give some tools, some tips, some good ideas to bring to your county supervisors, to start a fire safe council, to engage in this as a way of improving conditions in your area. So thanks for bringing that up.
No, thank you. So we got some helpful comments and offers in the chat. So I think just for supplementing or having people contribute information here. So let me I'm gonna bump you guys and I'm gonna share. Actually, you know what, before we go into this, I should actually have given people a chance to, if you have questions you wanted to ask Samantha and Chris, what I'm going to ask people to do is let me go through the survey that we want to distribute to everybody who's a member of this working group. And I'm thinking based on Chief Lowenthal's comment, a comment we got from Chief Tyler in the chat, Priscilla Abercrombie's concern that what we're going to do, we're going to modify the survey that I'm going to show you to make it easier for people to use that survey to communicate information to Samantha and Chris. I think that might be a more efficient way of doing. I mean, it's great. You can email them. That's fine. But also I think another efficient way to do it is just to complete the survey. And what I'm going to show you is it's the draft of the survey, just so everybody knows what it is we're going to be asking people to help us with. And then I do think we can add a few sections where you can just fill in information that you think we already or that we don't have or you want to make sure we have. So as all of you know, we've been talking about, I'm very pragmatic. And we've been talking a lot about, okay, we're here to try to remove all the obstacles that we possibly can to that prevent individuals and communities from engaging in putting time and money into home hardening defensible space. We want to remove those obstacles. What are they, right? We know a lot of them are money, time, don't know who to do the work, don't know what work it needed to be done. So we started there, right? We started with, okay, let's make sure everybody is as much as possible on the same page about what should you be doing to harden your home and what does defensible space mean. And so, we kind of, I'm not saying like we've checked that box, all done there. We actually do have, unfortunately, like a little bit of differences in the list, but they're mostly the same, right? So I think we have the core of agreement on what matters and what's important. And we feel that because the IBHS has very good relations with insurance companies, that insurers are most likely to recognize the priorities that they have identified as being meaningful in terms of rate adjustments and sales practices. So that being done, we have moved to, okay, let's give people information. So that's why we're doing this Rep Resource Center. And then we're also now looking at, all right, we know that a lot of commerce is developing around wildfire risk reduction. We know that there are products being sold. We know that there are companies that are advertising wildfire defense systems. There are companies that, and some of you have your own in-house people that will actually do work and or relationships with vendors, commercial entities, professionals that you have at some level vetted and trust and or have some sort of contractual relationship with, all that stuff. So we're through this survey, we are looking to elicit from all of you that category of information, meaning what kind of resources are you, if any, making available to residents in your community to actually get the work done, hardening their homes in defensible space. So we heard, some excellent presentations from Chief Tyler about the creative ways they're supporting home hardening, and a lot of other good information has been exchanged, but we wanted to get everybody in the group to fill this out. So, and we know from having partnered with the California Earthquake Authority that they had to go through a couple of different versions of their program, which now is called Brace and Bolt, to kind of fine tune how safe it felt to them to recommend a specific vendor. And then what does that mean? Who's liable if they, cut the wrong tree, or they do, something wrong, all that good, great stuff. So that's the purpose of this survey, is going to be to, so we're going to have, we start with the roof, and we're looking to get some intel from all of you about approximately what it's costing people to replace their roofs. Again, we're just looking for, approximate, we use that word. And then we're looking for a little bit of your feedback on which of these, we're trying to sort of, which of these things are considered very hard versus medium easy, right? So, and then we're asking if your organization recommends a specific brand. I guess this means for roofing, roofing materials, or do you recommend specific professionals or businesses to perform the work? That's kind of probably one of the most important questions right there. Do you recommend specific? And then I think we're probably going to modify this to give you a chance to put a little more detail there. And then we basically ask the same set of questions for all the steps. Ember resistant vents, same set of questions. Enclosed eaves, same set of questions. Windows, on and on. So that's basically, I'm not trying to make anybody dizzy or nauseous here. We went through the steps, and for each of the ones we're trying to get at what's it costing people to do the work, and is your entity, organization providing hands-on help for these tasks. So hopefully this won't be too hard for everybody to do. A lot of these are just yes or no, or okay. So that's where we are. But now that based on the comments that I've heard, I think that we're gonna add a couple of options in the survey so that people can do what they've been offering to do in the chat, which is to correct our information, or to help us fill out the site. But I think that what what's also become clear to me just today, listening to what's been discussed, is that county officials, we uniquely wanted to get with county officials, with agencies, as opposed to fire safe councils, grassroots groups. So what we make sure that that the official information that Chris and Samantha have been gathering is the whole story. So my team will do some separate outreach to some of our government agency folks that are on this call. So with that, I am happy to take questions for Chris and Samantha, or any further comments. I see Joel has his hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on the insurance rating component with respect to your fire department. Pretty much every insurer uses the ISO, Chris mentioned, Insurance Services Office scoring of your local fire department as a rating factor. And those range from a class 1 to a protection class 10. Protection class 10 being basically not no real responding fire department. Protection class 1, which is a very rare rating, is a fully staffed, well-trained, super well-equipped fire department. Most of our communities in California that are more urban have a protection class 2, 3, or 4. And there are a few 1s out there. There are a lot of 5s and 6s as you get towards less fully equipped departments, and it ranges up to 9 and 10. A lot of insurers won't write protection class 9 and 10. They're basically volunteer or no protection at all. Sometimes it is counting on a CAL FIRE or somebody to respond, even though that is not their mission. So it's quite a range, but it plays an important role in your insurance rates. And it is based on your local fire, the responsive fire department to your home is the key, the protection class score.
Okay. Let's see. We have a question in the chat from Karen Vatra, hope I'm pronouncing that right, and also Susan. How do we find our ISO rating? Is this only at a county level or more local?
Yeah,
Do you know
I-
how to do that,
Yeah,
Joel?
I will say for most fire departments, you can find it right on their webpage. There are some, because I've looked at several, some don't list it right away. But for most of them, you look up your local city fire department and it will tell you that protection class score. And just responding to something else in the chat, that is completely different from your wildfire risk score that insurers use from a wildfire risk model. Right, so you could have a great protection class and a low number there, like in Oakland, maybe it's a 2 for your protection class, but you could live up in the Oakland Hills and your wildfire score will be very high. So you have one thing in your favor and one thing going against you in terms of impact on your insurance rates.
And the Fireline score is provided by a private company that has sold their product to insurance companies. Similar ISO is as well.
Right.
But and there's just a reminder that the People's Fireline scores was one of the triggers of the crisis way back when the software started being used by insurers. And so in the regulations that the department issued, there is a requirement that people get easier access to know how they're being scored, what scores the insurer may be looking at for them. Neil Peterson, you had your hand up there.
Yes, I like this project and I had 2 questions. When will this survey be available and how long do we have to respond to it? The reason I'm asking is I represent a PUD homeowners association, but also a larger Firewise community, and I'd like to take it to the Firewise committee we have and see what they think about filling it out for the larger area that we represent.
That's a great question. And I have to be honest with you, I don't think we really thought that far ahead. I know I want to do a little bit more tweaking to the survey, and I feel like, at UP, we tend to have our surveys open for a long time because we're trying to get as much information as we can. So I would say that, easily a month, if not more, that we would be able to continue taking, getting completed surveys and I mean, I don't know, I guess I should check with our contracts, Chris and Samantha, but do we have a time? I mean, is that okay? Like to say, try to get it back to us within a couple weeks, if you can't, a month. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I think Samantha and I are, we're prepared to work on this until it's done. And we knew coming into today's meeting that this survey was going to be a critical piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
One, in understanding, as Amy explained, how to best find the right people to do the right work to harden your home. That's kind of a tricky thing. Samantha and I have discussed it with the UP team quite a bit. We'd be, I think, putting UP in a bad spot if we just started listing every carpenter in every county that could do box eaves, because you get a bad one and then, well, UP suggested it, and we don't want to put UP in that position. So we're probably looking, we discussed this last week, we're probably looking at ranges of costs in different parts of the state for getting certain types of work done. And we'll base that on, I think, a lot on Joel's advice on using the Institute for Business and Home Safety's Fire Safe Home Standards, which I think is kind of becoming the industry standard as I understand it. For the rest of it, again, all the good ideas, and replying to Priscilla Abercrombie, yeah, we know the county isn't the sole source of wildfire mitigation in every county. I worked for Napa County for about a year after retiring, and I know all the good work that fire safe councils do, that homeowners associations do, that CAL FIRE and the Forest Service is doing to mitigate risk in certain areas. So we're certainly looking beyond the county. I think Amy wanting to have a county contact is a good idea. That doesn't mean we won't work with, take input from, or look at other mitigation projects all over every county. And again, there's a tremendous diversity in the state. Some areas are going great guns, and some areas are not. So the more we can provide good ideas for people that want to get engaged, that's kind of what we want to do. Does that help with that? As far as the time frame, yeah, a month. I could see Samantha tweaking this for quite a while until it's, okay, here you go, Amy and Emily, you guys tweak it from here on. But we're not there yet.
Gotcha. Thank you. That helps. So yeah, feel free if there are more questions and observations. We want to hear them. And so just a couple of shares from our vault, our brain vault here at UP. So for the next meeting, which will be in March, we have invited the IBHS to come back. We heard from them last year before they had actually rolled out the wildfire prepared home designation. So we're going to have them come back and tell us how they're doing. And there's some new personnel, so we can hear their perspectives. And then I do want to kind of get back, and not only do I want to continue teasing out the fruits of all of your experiences in contracting with one vendor, several vendors, and then getting a feel for pricing and what people are being asked to pay. And we know it's going to vary, of course, a lot, regionally. But we also, I want to kind of mine this brain trust here for success stories at overcoming people's resistance to doing anything here, moving plants, spending money, time. We certainly anecdotally, we know, UP has had a home insurance survey going now for a couple of years, and we know how frustrated people are with the idea that, well, why would I spend all this money and do all this work if I'm just going to get dropped anyway by my insurance company, or they're just going to jack up my rate anyway? What's the point? Obviously we know some of the frustration also, like, I don't, but it would be, I think those of us who heard Jill Santos with Ventura present, and I sort of really got that vibe of frustration from her of we're doing all this work and people are still being, are dragging their feet. And, I always like I do this with my lawyer volunteers, when they're going up against the insurance companies, and the insurance companies have so much more firepower and resources. And I always look for, okay, who had the creative strategy, who was able to thread the needle. So I do want some of that from you, this group as well, of, okay, we kept hearing people saying over and over, this and that, so what kind of arguments have you been using to get over their reluctance and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where we're going, but we're going to stay grounded with populating the resource center with really solid information. Any other questions anyone wants to ask? Otherwise, I don't have the date yet for the March. It's either going to be the 7th or the 14th is the plan. And any questions before we wrap up today? Any additional shares? Okay. Well, it's okay to get out a little early. There's never been a rule that we have to go a full 60 minutes. Chris, Scow, Samantha, Orient, thank you so much. And Joel and Em for working on the survey with me, and everybody else just for showing up and doing what you're doing out there. So we will be, you hope it's the 7th and not the, okay. Well, the next thing you'll hear from us will either be the meeting announcement with the survey, or the next meeting announcement and then the survey. Anyway, thank you, everybody, again, and be safe and be well and keep up the great work. That's a wrap.
Thank you.